This video is an addendum to this VR mode video. If you haven't seen it, I highly suggest that you watch it before watching this video.
Yo, MDL, you know that you actually have to work on videos, right?
So? What are you doing here?
Good question. Anyways, you promised to make an addendum to your TF2 VR mode video essay. That video is almost a year old by now.
Oh no.
Oh yes.
Well, here we go again. Exactly 1 year ago, I released TF2's Forgotten VR mode. Not the mode itself, just that's the name of the video I made on it. It's pretty good. And today I'm here to think back to the journey of discovering this thing, as well as elaborating on some points from the original video. Timestamps exist just in case you want to skip ahead, although I do recommend watching this video in its entirety. Picture this. It's November 2020. I'm at home, doing uni things, and in my free time I binge TF2 YouTube content. At this point I had not submitted myself as a medic main just yet, and I was playing quite a bit of engineer. So, of course, I was watching Uncle Dane videos. More specifically, his Engineering 101 series. And then, one single joke at the end of the last video in the entire series caught my attention.
And most importantly, play TF2 in VR because you can literally look behind your own back for spies while you're upgrading your sentry in front of you. It's the most overpowered strategy in the game, okay?
Fast forward a few days to where I've done a massive deep dive into YouTube, the TF2 wiki, and whatever else I could find, and I've emerged with a simple thought. Nobody seems to have talked about this in years. Let's see if I can get this to work and make a cool video in the process. And me, a confident dumbass who likes VR things probably way too much, got to work. Here's how I did it. Quick disclaimer, I use a Rift S. I cannot guarantee that this works for you, but it sure works for me. The first step is to download an old version of SteamVR using the PO downloader, and use these commands to get the right version. They'll be in the description. Alternatively, which is also kind of a way easier option, there's a Google Drive link in there, in case you trust me, where you can download my SteamVR files, which are guaranteed to work. Rename your current SteamVR installation to something like SteamVR_new. Now, just make your folder called SteamVR and just drag and drop all the shit you got onto there. Now, go to the NVIDIA control panel and create a custom resolution at 2560 by 1440 at your base monitor's refresh rate. Create another custom resolution at 1440p at 80Hz, which is the refresh rate of the Rift S. Now then, open Steam, go to TF2, and set the launch options to -VR, -full, -W, 2560, -H, 1440. And disable Use Desktop Game Theater when SteamVR is active. Now, put on your Rift S, open SteamVR, and then Virtual Desktop. Enter these settings into Virtual Desktop. These are just the ones that work best for me, feel free to play around with them a bit. Go to your Windows settings, System, Display, and change your monitor's resolution to 2560 by 1440. Then go to Advanced Display Settings, then Display Adaptive Properties, and go to the Monitor tab. Set the refresh rate to 80Hz. Click back on Steam, select TF2 and drag to the left side of your screen. Drag the Virtual Desktop window to the right side of your screen. Enable headlock and no delay in the settings, and hit Y on your controller to recenter the window. Put the controls aside, we'll be using mouse and keyboard from now on. Turn on full SPS. This will protect the right half of the screen exclusively to your right eye and the left half exclusively to your left eye. Now start TF2, and hit OK on the pop-up that appears. If you follow these steps, hopefully it'll work for you. I'll gladly help you with the settings if you join my Discord. Call to action, go brr! But this isn't the end of the road with setting things up. We haven't even talked about all the customization options. As it turns out, there are quite a few ways to customize your TF2 VR experience in addition to the settings in Virtual Desktop. Let me go over these options so you can customize VR mode to your liking. But first, the most important console command for VR mode is VR Reset Home Pause, which resets your default VR position, including translation and rotation. I highly recommend binding it to an extra mouse button or any other easily accessible button, since after playing for a while it is inevitable that your view starts to drift a little. And resetting the default position somewhat frequently, like every time you die for example, can certainly help with that. Well, let's get started with this very epic and totally exciting list of options. This is essentially the VR version of the popular CL first-person uses world model ConVar. Yes, some people actually use it. Some of them even use it pretty much all the time. Changing this to 0 will remove world view models, and you get to use the regular view models that you know and love. This one only works in conjunction with VR first-person uses world model 0. This makes the view models fit better into VR mode in my opinion. It actually makes them translate with your head if you move around a little bit. I personally recommend it if you absolutely do not like world models. This ConVar is probably the most important one of them all. It fundamentally changes how aiming and looking around works in VR mode. 0. Looking around moves the crosshair. The mouse can only move the crosshair side to side and also turns your character. 1. You still aim with the rift, same as in mode 0, but the mouse is only used for turning. 2. Aiming is done with the mouse within a defined zone. Moving your head also moves that zone around. 3. The default option. Aiming is done with the mouse within a zone, but moving the head around does not move the zone. 4. Same as number 3, but the WASD movement stays tied to your character rotation instead of the rotation of your headset. 5. This, completely disables moving the camera with the mouse. Don't use this. 6. Pretty much the default, but completely without the mouse aiming zone. This is my personal favorite, and I very much recommend it. Number 7. This one is distracting altogether. You only get stereoscopic vision. Not recommended. This ConVar is exactly the same as VR Move A mode, but this only applies when scoped in with a sniper rifle. I recommend setting this to 3. This ConVar allegedly controls lens distortion while perfect, but in reality I don't really see a difference, apart from the fact that the black bars at the edge of the screen disappear when this is set to 0. This controls how much you can physically move around. It's the perfect setting for just standing up and walking around, or just sitting down on your floor and taking in the atmosphere. Set it to 250 if you want to get up and move around. Set it to something like 25 to 50 for regular gameplay, so you can lean around some corners by actually leaning. This controls how far the HUD is away from your face. Adjust this one to your liking. I personally set it to 125 for maximum readability. This ConVar allows you to lock the HUD rotation to the world instead of your face. It's a bit field, so these are the combinations for it. I very much recommend setting it to either 0, 4, or 7. These two in conjunction define the aiming dead zone for the aim modes 2 through 4. These one define the aiming dead zones for move aim mode zoom 2 through 4. So only when you're zoomed in with a sniper rifle. Okay. This ConVar might be considered cheating by some players because, this literally defines how much the sniper scope zooms. Please don't set this to anything with the default value of 2. This defines how big the sniper scope overlay is on the screen. Higher values allow you to see less of the screen. I personally recommend setting it to 5. Alright, there you go. Everything you ever need to know about VR mode, hopefully. Now, before I get to answering some questions and drawing a nice conclusion to this whole TF2 VR saga, allow me to use this epic technology to significantly enhance this video's quality.
And here we are. Time for questions. Way too many people asked me if I could please make a tutorial. I just did. You're very welcome. And yeah, the offer still stands. If you still need help, join my Discord, message me. I'll gladly help you if I can. Can you use another VR headset? Well, I am not entirely sure, but the method I used should work for any VR headset that you can hook up to SteamVR, so you should be fine. How long can you go for? Does playing VR mode make you dizzy? Well, I've been born with a thing called being pretty much immune to motion sickness, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I think the longest session I've actually done is like 1.5 hours. But I could probably go for like 2 to 3 hours before I actually have to stop because my eyes hurt. If Valve were to suddenly support VR mode again, what would you want most? Basically, I would just want them to return to, well, all the functionality that it had that TF2 would launch in VR mode if you had SteamVR open. Or, well, just in general making it work with SteamVR. That'd be based. Do you think Valve would upgrade VR mode? Short answer, no. Mostly because, hey, it's Valve. TF2 has like the stigma of, ooh, it's this old thing. Ah. But yeah, I highly doubt that they'll ever update it because it's just funny haha gimmick VR funny. Yeah. I highly doubt they will ever do something with that, but feel free to prove me wrong, I guess. What's the best part of playing TF2 VR? That is actually a pretty difficult question. I mean, TF2 is absolutely not a game that translates well just one-to-one, ooh, throw it into VR, and it just works. Like, I mean, Superhot kinda did that, and it just works pretty well. TF2 just doesn't. It doesn't work that, it isn't fully optimized for VR. For that, you'll have to play Hot Dog Soldiers and Hand Grenades, which is really good. Play Hot Dog Soldiers and Hand Grenades, it's amazing. But yeah, for me in general, it's just the joy that this thing that shouldn't exist does exist. And also the fact that it makes you view the maps that you know and love with quite literally a new set of eyes. And it is very beautiful. When will the heavy TF2 VR update be released? So, let me actually get the close-up camera here. So, you gotta promise me. Don't you dare tell anyone. But, I have secret intel from Valve. The VR Heavy update will release on And that has been it with your questions. If you have any more, feel free to put them in the comments or join my Discord so you can ask me there. And I'll gladly help you. And now let's get back to like the regular studio. I mean, this is based and all, but yeah, let's just get back to regular stuff.
In the end, all in all, VR mode is still just a gimmick. A gimmick that has been buried under a launch option and 6 years worth of dust. But hey, now almost 150,000 people know about this obscure thing, and I hope I could help at least a couple of you with getting this set up. The original VR mode video means a lot to me. It was my first time I actually spent a long time crafting a good script, editing the video, and spending hours on overall polish. It was the first time I put that much effort into a single video project. Even though I got fed up like halfway through editing and the gameplay section very much sucks. But hey, in the end, it was all worth it. It got me to where I am today. Got invited to Seasonal Lander, the Man vs. Marathon, I met so many amazing content creators. And now, who knows what the future has in store for me. And now, allow me to ask you one final question. TF2 in VR. What comes to mind when you think about it.